Hello and welcome to another Foreman community demo. Please note that if you have any trouble with the live stream, you can just drop a comment or a message in LibreChat or on the YouTube live chat, and I'll post a link with which you can join the demo. Also, if it's not obvious from that, Foreman has now left Freenode. I think with the changes this week, we have lost all access, admin rights, etc. So we're pretty much gone from that. At the moment, we had a bit of an issue because we have legacy matrix rooms, matrix rooms that were connected to Freenode. There is an issue where when I try to connect them now to Libra, that they are they're basically receiving errors. Matrix are helping with this. I've been receiving emails yesterday and today, so hopefully the matrix rooms will be bridged to LibreChat very, very soon. When that happens, I will announce that also, that you can bridge through to matrix directly from the old Foreman matrix rooms. So just a note on that, we're pretty much, all of us are gone from Freenode and onto Libra. So just on the release side of things, so since we last met, Foreman 2.5 has been released. This release, it contains 80 bug fixes as well as up to 48 enhancements. If you'd like a full kind of changelog, release notes, check out the release announcement on the Foreman community discourse page, and you can get all the information there. Please upgrade, take a look, and avail of all the latest and greatest features that you've been seeing on the demo over the last few months. And in other news this week, on the Katello side, 3.18.3 has been released, and this includes a slew of bug fixes, so you can check out the full announcement for this also over on the Foreman community discourse. And as time is getting close, we are coming up to, this will be our last community demo before we have our Foreman birthday party. So today we have Dirk from Netways, who are our hosts this year, and Dirk is going to give you a sneak preview as to all the things you have to look forward to on July 1st. So please make sure you have your calendar marked, join us, and let's celebrate 12 years of Foreman. So over to you, Dirk.
Thanks for introducing, Melody. So what we have at the moment is talks announced, and the 6 will come on next Tuesday. So really great mixture, I think. We have talks about Katello, about Foreman, about plugins. We will get the community involved with Maria's talk and feedback session about the new wizard in the job execution wizard in remote execution. And so I'm very proud of this program. So it will be hours with some breaks added. So let's say we start at 3 o'clock and end about 6:30. So I will do the final schedule and know when it ends with the talks, when I have all the recorded videos. And so, yeah, it should be about 3 to 3.5 hours of talks. And then I hope we will have a great social event. So for the social part, we will have a Rocket Chat instance to directly provide feedback during the sessions and talk to the for the Q&A sessions, which will be live. And afterwards, perhaps already during the sessions, I hope we can provide a work adventure. Work adventure is like Super Mario, Zelda, something like this. So more of an 8-bit virtual reality where you can walk around and meet and talk to each other. So we try to get the same feeling we have from event. So I hope we will get it up and running till then, so you can walk around in a virtual bar and talk to each other. So this is what we plan as a social event, because it was always one of the parts of this party. So, and so if you have any more questions, if I should spoiler more, Melanie, just ask. This would
Sure thing.
all I have to say.
No, it sounds great. So if you want to, for what will hopefully be the last virtual Foreman birthday party, if you want to savor walking around in a virtual world for one last year, please please join us on July 1st. So thank you very much, Dirk. And if there are any questions for Dirk, feel free to write them, and I will follow up and get answers for you. But check out our community discourse and our Twitter for more updates about this event, and just make sure your calendars are marked. So thank you very much. Dirk, appreciate you coming along today. So we will start the demos now. So I just normally Stefan would be due to go first, but because of some scheduling issues, if you don't mind, Stefan, Ron will talk first. And this is a little bit, how would you say, unorthodox, but look, we're flexible. So the first demo today will be a developer-focused demo about the index page template, if that's okay with everyone. Speak.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a condition with the kids at home, so I really appreciate it. I can share my screen. 1 second. So basically, in Foreman, we have a lot of pages exactly like this one, with a search bar and table. Actually, it's a very user-friendly demo too, but also a developer one. So I thought about creating a template to create it much more easily, and also not in a traditional ERB jQuery way. Today, if you just navigate the page, for example, if you press sort, it takes you about 5 seconds to load. Let's wait. And if you, let's try to paginate, I'll do just per page one, just for the example, because I only have 2 architectures. It takes the same. Anyway, it takes a lot of time. And also, if you use the search bar, it takes quite long. So basically, I created this layout template using a PF4 design and some CSS help to make the search bar look fit the page, but it's not the actual search bar that's going to be. And for example, if I press here a sort, it just asynchronous call and pretty fast. The same if you do a per page or a search. So again, per page one. So you see how fast it is. And yeah, we wish all pages that have the same structure to look like this. And to create this page, basically you need to touch, for now, 3 files. There is still a PR in a draft stage, so we can comment on it. You will see, probably saw in the community some plans about it. So basically, you pass all the page attributes in a JSON format, like rows, columns, item count, header, title. It's optional. Many things there are optional, but you can pass them. Also, page actions. It also gives plugins a way to extend your page pretty easily. As you can see, we created also some helpers if you want to check for permissions. Here I'm up on the rows. PR, I think Timo commented and showed a really easy way to extend it in a concern from a plugin. So that's the plan. row actions, page actions like the new page. Hopefully, we will also convert easy pages like the new page into modals. Like currently, I think it's a very easy page. Instead of going to another Ruby page that also uses jQuery for this list, it will open a small modal. Action will be much faster. The second file you need to touch is, of course, the routes. Now I did like a lab page for a next architecture, which uses the React controller. That does nothing actually, just goes straight to the JavaScript application. And then to load that JavaScript route into the application, we created a small helper in a layout helper called index pages. Here we can list all of the path and props or arguments we want to pass to the JavaScript React component. And then when the application starts, it initially loads all of these pages. So most of your work will be on one file, and it will create out of the box a page like this one. We could convert. I found the 60 pages the same in core and plugins. So hopefully we can convert most of them, and also the move between pages that use React Router will be much faster. For example, if I go to audits page, you see how fast it is. Instead of going to ERB page, that takes the 5 or more seconds to load. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ron. And if I understand correctly, if anyone has questions for Ron at any point, I will follow up and ask them to Ron at a later stage, and I will post the answers on the community discourse under the Foreman demo if you have any questions. So thank you so much, Ron. I appreciate you managing to get here despite your commitments to your kiddies. So
Awesome, thanks.
cool. The first, the next demo, should I say, first that was listed for user focus is from Stefan, and Stefan is going to talk to us today about personal access tokens, the confirm dialog for them.
Yes, we have decided to add a confirm dialog. I'm sharing the screen to see it. Okay.
Yeah, screen is coming up now.
It's coming up now. Because your access token, you're going to use it in your automation scripts, and because you don't want to have a plain text password and so on. But before this change, you could have easily accidentally revoked your token by just clicking revoke, and your token would have been gone, and that would be changing your scripts again for a new token and so on. So we decided to add the confirm dialog, so you don't accidentally revoke your token. You can cancel. Token is still nice and alive. Okay. And token is revoked. So that's okay. This to prevent like such issues like accidental revocation and subsequent answers. How do I unrevoke the token? So this is it. Any questions?
Thank you very much. So just if you have any questions for Stefan, please ask now. And in the meantime, there is actually one question for Ron. So Jeremy asks, it seems this will be very easy to do, but only work well for simpler pages. Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely for simple pages, it will be, I think, a matter of a few minutes to create a page. But of course, we will also support more complex pages like table with select, like the host index page. And later we can think of more templates we can use to convert the app.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ron. And if you've any questions for Stefan, just feel free to drop them in the chat or into Libra or to YouTube chat. So far, I don't see anything. So thank you very much, Stefan, for coming along today. Welcome. Appreciate you coming along to give your first demo. And
thank you.
And we'll move on now to Andra Prajak, who will talk to us about running Ansible roles with tags.
Hello. You should be able to see my screen. And today I'll be talking about a small improvement which allows users to actually run Ansible with tags. So I'm in the job invocation form, and under the advanced fields, there is field tags. So if we input our tags that we want to use for this specific execution, and then we can choose whether we actually want to include these tags or exclude them during the execution. This should be available for multiple templates that are related to Ansible. So, for example, if I choose to run playbook instead of all roles, I can still specify the tags and whether they should be included or excluded. So if users use tags in their tasks and in their roles, this will get applied, and based on the selected include or exclude, those tasks with tags will be either included or excluded during the run. And that's all.
Thank you, Andra. So if you have any questions for Andra, feel free to drop them in. But right now I don't see any, Andra, so we shall move on to our next demo. And then up next is Jonathan with the first of the Katello related demos today. And Jonathan's going to talk to us about katello-agent deprecation and hammer-cli-katello.
All right, thanks, Melanie. Yes, here I am again to remind folks that, yes, katello-agent is deprecated. You should be considering or already be moving to remote execution. Katello-agent is going to be around for 5 releases or so of Katello. So better to start sooner than later. We are doing things to make the migration easier. You may have seen in my demo last time, I showed a feature of remote execution that allows us to pass a named feature, such as Katello package install, rather than like a job template ID or something. This change that I'm about to show is really small. It builds on top of that. What will happen now when you're issuing a hammer command that uses katello-agent today, it'll proceed as usual, but it'll print out some useful information to you on the screen about how to perform that same command using remote execution. And here it is. So for this hammer host package install command, the remote execution equivalent would be to use job invocation with the katello package install feature. So just a really small change to hopefully kind of close some of the gaps around the migration to remote execution. And if you're wondering, what are all of the commands that use remote execution and will print out their equivalents? I'm sorry, the commands that are today using katello-agent. Well, here is the full set of commands. And that is all that I had. Thanks.
Thanks, Jonathan. Can I ask, are you getting many questions about this? Do you think that you came and you spoke about deprecation? I think it was at least over a month ago. Has there been any confusion around this, or how is this being received so far, do you think?
Well, I I honestly have not heard anything personally. However, our steps so far have really been more messaging related in the user interface of the app. Maybe some folks aren't even really in the interface that much. They're on the command line side. So we're just trying to, kind of have the whole migration experience across the UI and CLI.
For sure.
But
No.
I would love to hear feedback in that area.
Yeah, no, that's good. I know that, for example, over the last few months, there has been people who are working in the wider community who I've sent your first message to, and they were very, it was very well received because they were unsure of of the timeframes that they had. So this is great, and perhaps I'll put something on the blog as well just to make sure that this is as visible as can be. So thank you very much, Jonathan. Let me just check and see, are there any comments or questions for you?
That would be great. Thanks, Melanie. Appreciate it.
No bother. I think we are all good for now, but as people know, they can comment at any time. So thank you very much. And up next is Samir. And Samir is going to talk to us about the Katello content view UI, publish, promote content views. Here we are.
Hey, thanks, Melanie. Let me share my screen here. I hope you can see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
All right. So today I want to demo the new publish promote workflow in the new CV UI. So we added a new button to the versions page of the content view, which is publish new version. And the new flow here is basically you can add a description to the version, you can leave it blank, and you can also promote to particular, like any environment while you are publishing. And so let me just try that. And there's also an alert. So if you're not going in order of the environments, then we basically alert you that the previous environment is not yet available. Yeah, so after selecting the environments, you can review whatever you're doing. So this will publish it to version 25 with the environment selected. And you hit finish, and this should show you the task details once it starts up. And yeah, we'll wait for this to finish.
Did they make it that big so you can go for a cup of coffee across the room and still sit?
Yeah. So once this finishes, the model will close, and you should be able to see the details of the new version published. There's also so this new feature of being able to promote along with the publish is also exposed on the API, and the hammer command to do the same is basically you have the publish command, and then you add the lifecycle environment IDs you want to promote it to. And this parameter is force promote true, is the same one we had here, basically. So if you're promoting something out of order, then you need to specify that you intend to do so. And yeah, that's about it.
It's great, Samir. Thank you. So let me check. So if you have any questions about the new UI for Samir, please post them. But for now, I don't see anything. And we shall move on to our next demo. And that is from Marcus. Marcus is going to talk to us about the version 2.0 of the snapshot management plugin with a new UI. So Marcus, have we got you? We do.
Yep.
Excellent. So in your own time, Marcus, please.
Okay, thank you, Melanie. So if you're not already familiar with the Foreman Snapshot Management plugin, well, it ties neatly into the host overview page and allows you to manage your virtual machine snapshots, which you should now see. And recently we saw that with Foreman 2.3, unfortunately, our old UI broke. So if you look at those demos regularly, you already know that everything is moving to React right now. So we thought, okay, instead of putting another patch on it, let's rewrite the whole stuff. And yeah, that's how it looks right now. So what we did, we moved the actions from written out actions to icons, which takes a lot less space over here. Yeah, still works the same, so you can still roll back snapshots from within here. You can delete the old ones, and you also can edit them. Yeah. I just missed the icon. And what we also did is we moved the create snapshots to a separate modal, which is pretty nice in React because before it was pretty tiny, and now you have a lot more space to write it down. And yeah, what also works is you can limit the writes for your users. So just impersonate one of them. So I made one of them here. Let's impersonate him or her. Hosts. And as you see, this one is only allowed to revert snapshots, but not to create new ones or remove old ones or edit them. So yeah, neatly ties into your user management there. And yeah, that's mostly it. I probably still have to say the Foreman Snapshot Management currently only works with VMware and Proxmox compute resources. Yeah, but if you want to implement another one, yeah, please feel free to do so. We're always open for that. And also, if you find bugs in here or in the React code, yeah, please tell us about it because yeah, I'm for myself pretty new to React, so there probably are some errors or not so nice things hidden in there, but yeah, we can improve that. Okay, and
thank you. Thank you very much, Marcus. I will just check for questions. If anyone has any questions for Marcus, if anybody in the meeting has questions for Marcus also, feel free to come off mute at any point. But for now, I don't think I see anything. So we will progress to the next demo. So that was the end of our user-focused demos, and we are now moving on to the stage where we look at the developer-focused demos for the Foreman community. And up first is, I believe it is either and or shall I say, Adam and Andra, and you're going to talk about the deprecation of all the core SmartProxy plugins, if I am correct.
I will be just cheering, Adam.
Okay.
Yep, I'll take this one. So, hello everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Adam Aruzicka, and I'm here to basically give you a status update on a post that I posted to Discourse in March, I think it was. And it's about how we are going to go about deprecating SmartProxy mcorr and all its friends. So first, a bit of history to bring you up to speed in case you haven't read that post. Why we're doing this, what's the thing we're trying to deprecate, why we have it in the first place, and so on. So some time ago, let's say, I think it was around the 1.19 era, we wanted to bring Dynflow to the SmartProxy, but the gotcha was that Dynflow needed newer Ruby than what was available. And SmartProxy itself wasn't running in a software collection, so there was no real way how we could get that. So we had two options. We either could put the entire SmartProxy into a software collection, or somehow take Dynflow out of the equation and run it as a standalone process. So putting SmartProxy into a software collection felt like a lot of work at the time, so we went with the other option. This led to a new service being created. It was basically a sidecar service to the SmartProxy, and it was called SmartProxy Dynflow Core, and that's where Dynflow was living in, and it was doing all the heavy lifting on the backend. Funny enough, we didn't really want to go all in on this idea. So we used this kind of deployment with separate SmartProxy Dynflow Core only where we needed it, which also led to us to different deployments on different platforms, because we needed this only on enterprise Linux-based operating systems. So there we used this split deployment, and on Debian, there was no issue. Debian was shipping newer Ruby at the time, so we didn't really change anything. And Dynflow was running inside the regular SmartProxy. This led us to create a suite of, usually they were called Foreman _something_core plugins. So for remote execution, we had Foreman Remote Execution Core. For Ansible, we had Foreman Ansible Core, and so on. And these could be loaded either into the SmartProxy itself or into SmartProxy Dynflow Core, and it was kind of shared between the two. Now, to recap what I was saying in a table to make things more obvious, the situation we ended in was that on enterprise Linux-based platforms, SmartProxy Dynflow Core was a standalone service. All the _core gems were loaded into it. And then the SmartProxy plugins, the regular ones, were loaded into SmartProxy itself. In contrast to that, at the same time, on Debian, all this stuff, all these Dynflow cores and all the core plugins and all the SmartProxy plugins were loaded into SmartProxy directly. And so that was the situation. Currently, the minimum Ruby version requirement is already fulfilled on the enterprise Linux-based platforms, so we don't really need it. And it causes a bit of an overhead because the deployment changes depending on the platform and so on. There are some things that work differently depending on where they run. So it would be nice if you could just somehow unify those deployments. And we decided to go with the all-in-one deployment, the way we do it on Debian, and do it everywhere. So the goal is to take the SmartProxy Dynflow core, move most of it into SmartProxy Dynflow, which is the regular Dynflow SmartProxy plugin, and essentially do the same with all the core plugins. Just take the code out of them, move them into their SmartProxy counterparts, and eventually throw away the core gems completely. So in the end, everything would be just a SmartProxy plugin, and it would be running in the SmartProxy, and that's it. No exceptions. Just this would be the way to go. This effort is underway. So before Foreman 2.5, we had a separate deployment on enterprise Linux-based distributions and all-in-one on Debian-based distributions. Foreman 2.5 is the breaking point. we changed default value in the installer. So now on Foreman 2.5, you will get the all-in-one deployment everywhere, but you can pass an option to the installer to get the separate deployment if you want for some reason. However, on 2.6 and later, the all-in-one deployment will be the only possible deployment, and that will be it. So where are we now? I mentioned we already changed it in the installer, so you get the all-in-one deployment everywhere. We removed the option to run SmartProxy and m-bucher as a separate service, so that's gone completely. This option is no longer available. Most of the code is moved from the core gems into the SmartProxy plugins. Now, I say most. There are still some unmerged PRs. So I tried to go over all the repositories I'm aware of and send PRs to there doing this move. So if one of those PRs landed in a repository that you maintain, please take a look at it. It would be nice if we could get this done completely. We can't remove all the core gems completely yet. They're still kept around, but they are reduced to being a compatibility layer. There's an issue where some of the core gems have dependencies between each other, and we turned them into a compatibility layer so we didn't have to synchronize the releases. But once everything starts to use the new names, then we will be able to drop the core gems completely. So the compatible layer is there just to expose the bits from the moved plugin under the old names, so everything keeps working until we are ready to do the final switch. And what's left? Well, merging the rest of the PRs. That's what we have to do. Then we can make sure that nothing is using the compatibility layer, which is the thing which blocks us from dropping the core gems. And once this happens, then we can drop the core gems completely. And once that's done, it will be much nicer than it is. The situation currently with all the core gems was somewhat confusing and required some time getting used to that, but hopefully it won't be needed anymore. And with that, thank you for your attention. Are there any questions, either over IRC or anywhere else?
Thank you, Adam. Let me just have a look. So far, I do not see any questions. So if you have any questions for Adam, we have one more demo ahead of us. So if you have any questions for Adam, get them in quickly. And thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
So our last demo of today is a little bit shorter than usual. But last but not least is Lukasz, and Lukasz is going to talk to us about SELinux primer. And Lukasz is also giving a talk at the Foreman Birthday Party all about webhooks. So make sure that you are coming along to that. So Lukasz, in your own time, please.
Yeah, sure. Don't say the demo is over until I'm done. I will bore you to death with SLinux. No, don't worry. I don't actually have anything to share. Let me just undo my shade themes. Oh, no, just like that. Oh, that was too much. The chances are kids will start shooting me with their, watch guns. So in that case, I'll shut it down. So there was a PR last week, and I thought that it would be a good opportunity to give you guys a friendly reminder that we are actually, if you deploy Foreman on Enterprise Linux or Enterprise Linux or CentOS compatible systems, by default we do support SELinux. So we are running contained. Unfortunately, on Debian we don't do that. Several reasons, although on Debian you can probably set up SELinux, it's not, very usual setup. You don't find, Ubuntu server or
Debian servers with that. One of the reasons could be also that there is a different technology called, I think, UpArmor, which is kind of similar but different. So on Debian, you don't have this problem. However, if you deploy Foreman on Enterprise Linux, you do have SELinux. And then let's take this as a reminder to code authors and also reviewers that every time you spot a big change related to SELinux, and I'll talk about what those look like, then please consider either pinging any of the maintainers of SELinux policy. You will find these if you scroll through history of the Foreman SELinux repo or katello SELinux repo. We do have two separate repositories for Foreman core, and Katello has its own policy because it's complex enough that we have a different repo. And Foreman repository does contain rules for also other plugins. So if that's any other plugin than Katello, Foreman Linux, and you'll see in the history it's probably a couple of us. So if you're in doubt when doing review, just feel free to ping us, and we can help you. And what are these changes that smell that will probably cause issues with SELinux? These are usually when you see that the code, meaning our Ruby on Rails process, that's the one that's confined, it's running within the SELinux enforcement. Others do not. For example, SmartProxy is not running in enforcing mode today. So if you spot a change that is either accessing some files which are kind of in non-standard location, which would be typically Foreman process can read things like ATC Foreman, var lib Foreman, user share Foreman. These are like the regular directories. So there's no problem if you create a new subdirectory within var lib Foreman. That should be fine. It will be fine. But if you see a feature that is starting writing data to /data or whatever, it's probably not the best. Would be better to use varlib for that matter. But if suppose there is some change like that, that's a red flag. That is something that tells you I should probably either contact anyone from the SELinux team, or I can just file a patch. I don't want to bore you with how to write policies and rules in SELinux. If you want to be bored, you can. I have got, I think, two YouTube presentations, 1 hour plus long. So if you have trouble sleeping, you can go ahead. Although my approach is really very practical approach, like I'm just trying to do approach where you want to write some rules. You don't want to go into details how SNS work. I don't even know. So there's that. So if you see some of these, other red flag could be that the application is also trying to spawn a new process. Like typically, our policy allows you to spawn all like things like send mail. You can spawn WebSockify. Is the subprocess that handles the VNC Spice communication. That's the virtual console access and things like that. These are allowed. However, if you try to spawn anything else, won't be working. Like on your development setup, when you're even if you have enabled SELinux on your development setup, which I actually do, and I highly recommend not to disable SELinux. The Rails process, the development process, will not run in the confined mode unless you actually do some extra work to do this. So it will work. However, the moment we deploy this on our nightly build, so our pipeline on Jenkins will probably fail as we merge this commit. So, and the third red flag could be, for example, when application starts to communicating through TCP, UDP, or even local Unix socket to some new endpoint. Again, this needs to be allowed by a policy, and we do allow things like connect to Postgres, connect to OpenStack, and things like that. However, if you are adding a new feature, connecting to any other endpoint, you need to create either rule, just send a PR or contact us, and we can do that for you.
So that's pretty much it. So if you want to remember 3 things, 3 red flags, there would be some kind of a unstandard directory, unstandard port, TCP UDP, or spawning some new kind of process. That would be something we need to add. And that's pretty much it. I'm alive. Not filled with water. It's great. And back over to you, Mel. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lucas. That is good. I don't see any questions. So if you are watching live and you think of a question after we have gone offline, just write to us on the community discourse or drop a comment onto the YouTube video. And if you're watching back at a later stage, that it's the same thing. If you have any questions at all, if you have any feedback, if you have any comments, concerns, just please let us know your thoughts about the features you've seen today. And before we will meet again, we will have the Foreman Birthday Party. So please join us in the celebrations. And I think that is everything. So I would like to thank all of the people who came and demoed today. Thank you very much for your time. And for all of you that joined me live, joined us live, should I say. Thank you very, very much for your attention, for your questions, and we will see you very soon. Take care.